Isn't it wild how some people who work modest jobs their whole lives can end up dying wealthy, while others who win the lottery, hit the jackpot, end up totally broke? It's a real paradox. But it has almost nothing to do with luck or how much money you make. It's all about your habits. So today, let's unpack the habits that make all the difference.
Okay, check this out. These two stories perfectly frame what we're talking about. On one side, you have Ronald Reed, a janitor who, get this, quietly built up an $8 million fortune. Then, on the other side, you've got Michael Carroll, who won the lottery and burned through millions, only to end up right back where he started, as a janitor. How does that even happen? Well, it's proof that it's not about what you earn, it's about what you do with what you earn.
So, what was Ronald Reed's big secret? Well, it was actually brilliantly simple. The guy lived frugally, way below his means, and just consistently invested his savings into solid blue-chip stocks. That's it. He never had a huge salary, but he cared more about financial education than he did about fancy spending. And that right there brings us to the single most important lesson of this entire explainer. Seriously, if you remember one thing, let it be this. Your wealth is determined by your behavior, not your income. It's all those small, daily decisions that compound over time, and they either build you a life of financial freedom or financial ruin. All right, so let's start with the internal battle. Because before we can even get into budgets or investing, we have to look at the psychological traps that just keep people poor. These are the first 4 habits on our list of 10. We're going to dive into 4 huge mental hurdles here. Just plain closing your mind to learning. That intense pressure of FOMO, the fear of missing out, the siren song of get-rich-quick schemes, and, of course, the destructive power of addiction. Each one of these is like a shortcut to financial disaster. The very first habit that leads to ruin is maybe the simplest one, just closing your mind. It's basically choosing to be financially illiterate. And what does that lead to? No plan, no real goals, and absolutely no budget. You're pretty much flying blind straight into a storm. Oh man, and this next one perfectly illustrates our second destructive habit, giving in to FOMO. Do you remember the whole Dogecoin frenzy back in 2021? The hype just exploded on social media, the price shot to the moon, and then boom, it crashed. So many people who jumped in at the very peak, driven purely by FOMO, lost a fortune because they were investing in hype, not in actual value. You've heard this a million times, right? If it seems too good to be true, it usually is. This old saying is probably your best defense against our third ruinous habit, falling for get-rich-quick schemes. These things are almost always get-poor-quick traps in disguise. Just think of the Bernie Madoff-Ponzi scheme, where people lost their life savings chasing returns that were literally impossible. The lesson is simple. Real wealth is built slowly. And finally, in this section, we have habit number 4, addiction. Whether we're talking about gambling, drugs, or alcohol, these behaviors are a direct pipeline from your bank account to absolute zero. Remember our lottery winner, Michael Carroll? He blew a mind-boggling $9.7 million, mostly on parties and other destructive habits. It just goes to show how fast an addiction can completely erase a fortune. Okay, so we've covered the psychological traps. Now let's get practical and look at the everyday habits that are quietly draining your finances. Think of these like small leaks in a massive ship. They make up the next 4 habits on our list. Just look at this number for a second. $8,600. In 2024, that's the average American's credit card debt. And it's the direct result of our 5th habit, spending more than you make. It is without a doubt the single most common path to financial struggle. So why do so many people overspend? Well, a lot of the time, it's habit number 6, trying to keep up with appearances. We see all these influencers on social media with their luxury cars and exotic vacations, and we think, I want that life now, even if it means sinking into debt for it. Trust me, that's a game you just can't win. Which leads us right into habit number 7, buying liabilities. So what's a liability? It's simple. It's anything that is constantly taking money out of your pocket. It's the exact opposite of an asset, which is something that puts money in your pocket. Understanding this difference, it's everything. Let's make this super clear. On the left, a new car, a classic liability. The second you drive it off the lot, its value plummets by about 10%. You can see it right there. Now, on the right, what if you put that same money into a simple investment? It could grow on average by about 7%. One is actively losing you money, while the other is actively making you money. Now, our eighth habit is one that might actually surprise you: neglecting your health. Look, especially in countries without universal health care, just one major medical emergency can completely wipe you out, even lead to bankruptcy. So, eating well, exercising, getting enough sleep, that's not just a health choice. It's one of the smartest financial investments you can possibly make.
All right, so we've covered 8 habits that absolutely destroy wealth. So how do you actually win the financial game? Well, the secret is to win before you even start fighting. And that brings us to our final 2 habits. This quote from Sun Tzu's The Art of War is thousands of years old, but man, is it pure gold for personal finance. See, financial success isn't about just reacting to crises when they happen. It's about preparing so thoroughly that those crises can't even touch you. It is all about the plan. And that brings us to the 9th ruinous habit: having no plan. So what's the antidote? It's simple. It's called a budget. And a budget isn't about restriction, it's about control. It's a plan that tells your money where to go, instead of you sitting around wondering where it all went. Now, a key part of that plan is your defense, your financial shield. This is your emergency fund. It's a dedicated savings account with 3 to 6 months of your essential living expenses saved up. This isn't an investment you're trying to grow, it's insurance against life itself. It's the buffer that stops an unexpected disaster from becoming a financial catastrophe. And building one is really simple. First, you just figure out the bare minimum you need to live on for 3 to 6 months. Second, you open a separate savings account so you're not tempted to dip into it. And third, you automate your savings. Just pay yourself first, even if it's a small amount every single week.
But here's the kicker. You could have the perfect budget, a fully funded emergency fund, a great investment strategy. You can do everything right, and our 10th and final habit can still bring it all crashing down. $50 million. That is the staggering amount that Tiger Woods allegedly lost through high-stakes gambling. So why? Well, reports say he was heavily influenced by the high-rolling social circle he was a part of. This just proves that the people you surround yourself with can have a massive, massive impact on your financial habits. And that leaves us with one final, very important question. Who is in your financial circle? I mean, who are you talking to about money? Who are your role models? Are the people around you lifting you up and encouraging smart habits? Or are they dragging you down into a cycle of debt and consumption? The answer to that question might just be the most important financial decision you ever make.